Or perhaps in Slytherin you'll make your real friends. Those cunning folk use any means to achieve their ends. Take a minute to address how J.K. Rowling was shady towards Slytherin literally in the Sorting Hat song. Like, she can't sit with us. Hi, hello, and welcome. I'm Spencer, and this is Common Spence, and today I am going to be recommending books for the best house, which is the House of Slytherin. Now, for those of you who don't know, I myself am a Slytherin, and I made a whole video on my channel talking about my sorting journey and the story behind that, so you can go and check that out if you want to know more about my Slytherinness. That being said, I am very excited to recommend some books to you today that I think my housemates will love. Books that have big Slytherin energy, you guys. Now, when I was sitting down to come up with the books that I wanted to talk about for my fellow Slytherins, I wanted to find stories that I thought dealt with power dynamics in a really interesting way. So those are the stories I want to share with you today. And of course, I will be joined by some of my fabulous housemates later in this video so that they can recommend books to you themselves, so you definitely want to stay tuned because this video is full of Slytherin goodness. So without further ado, let's dive in and talk about these Slytherin reads because I am very excited to share them with you. The first book I want to recommend to Slytherins is The Wicked Deep by Shay Earnshaw. In the cursed seaside town of Sparrow, 3 sister witches return every year by stealing the bodies of weak-hearted girls and luring unsuspecting boys to a watery grave. 17-year-old Penny Talbot is well aware of this legend and vows to keep her distance. That is until new boy Beau Carter arrives in town without any idea what he's just stumbled into. Through twists, turns, and truths revealed, Penny will have to make a choice. Save Beau or save herself. You guys, this is one of my favorite witchy books of all time. This is marketed as Hocus Pocus meets practical magic, and that's exactly what it delivers. So if either of those two titles strike a chord with you, this book needs to be on your TBR. This deals with power dynamics in a really interesting way because we have these witches who are coming to town, and we have our young heroine who has to make this difficult choice. And you guys, this book is full of twists and turns that absolutely surprised me and made me like jump with joy because I was so excited to see what was gonna happen next. If you're looking for something that is super atmospheric and spooky and witchy, a perfect read for Halloween as it approaches, The Wicked Deep is one that needs to be on your TBR because you are absolutely going to adore it. The next book I want to recommend to the House of Slytherin is Gone Girl by Gillian Flynn. In a small Missouri town, beautiful housewife Amy Dunn has gone missing. Her husband Nick has always seemed like the town golden boy, at least until Amy's diary is discovered and paints a whole new picture. Thrown into the national spotlight, Nick is suddenly under a microscope. No man and no marriage is perfect, but is Nick really a killer? Or is the truth far deeper and much darker than anyone could have imagined? You guys, this was the first Gillian Flynn book I have ever read, and just coming off of the HBO series Sharp Objects, which wrapped up and had a lot of people talking about her and her books again, this book has been on my mind. This is one of my favorite Slytherin-y books of all time. Now, you may be thinking from the premise, this sounds like your basic murder mystery, small town kind of thing, but as with all Gillian Flynn novels, there will be twists and turns that you will not see coming, and when they finally hit you, you're gonna be like, whoa, that's amazing. There is a character in this book, and I'm not gonna say which one, but if you've read it, I'm sure you will agree, is one of like the most classic, crazy Slytherin characters out there. And this is definitely an example of what happens when Slytherins go dark. I would highly recommend you read this book if you haven't, even if you've seen the movie and you know what's gonna happen, because the writing is fantastic and I absolutely love the way that it's structured. And I think all of my Slytherin housemates will feel the same. The next Slytherin recommendation I wanna make is Vicious by V.E. Schwab. What started out as 2 college roommates researching the possibility of the impossible has ended with a whole new world. As superpowers run rampant and fuel both sides, our friends have become foes desperate for a cataclysmic conclusion that can only be described as vicious. I mean, do I even need to justify this one? The premise alone is like textbook Slytherin, and this whole duology is all about getting vengeance and revenge, and it is perfect for people who are looking for interesting Slytherin-y kind of novels that deal with power dynamics. And if you haven't read Vicious, there is no better time than now because its long-awaited sequel, Vengeful, is debuting in just a few days, and I can't wait to see what V.E. Schwab has cooked up for all of us. And if you are a fellow Slytherin, I'm sure you will feel the same. The next Slytherin recommendation I want to share is The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. After the murder of her parents, young Jude is whisked away to the land of Fae. Growing up mortal in a world full of magic, she wants nothing more than to belong, even if it means betraying Cardan, the cruelest fairy prince of them all. But when a darker plot comes to light, Jude will form an unlikely alliance to save her sisters and the court of Fairy from impending doom, no matter the cost. Now, when I first read The Cruel Prince, I was honestly a little bit lukewarm about it. I think I gave it like 4 out of 5 stars, but I wasn't really sure why everyone was like completely obsessed with it. However, as time has gone on and I really thought back about the story and the power dynamics and relationships between some of the central characters, I think that's why people are so obsessed with this pairing and this novel as a whole. There is some really interesting dynamics between our leads, between the families, between the plot that starts to unfold and sort of this secret thing that's coming to light. And overall, even though fairy books are still not really my thing, The Cruel Prince is something that I think Slytherins will especially enjoy because of those interesting power dynamics. So if you haven't given it a go, this is an excellent time to pick up The Cruel Prince and see just how cruel Cardan really is. And the last book I want to share with all of my Slytherin friends is The City of Brass by S.A. Chakraborty, which is one of my favorites. On the streets of 18th century Cairo, Nari is a conwoman who has never believed in magic. When she accidentally summons a djinn warrior to her side, she learns the truth about real magic and worlds she never thought possible. But once she enters the magical city of Brass, she'll learn that no amount of magic nor cleverness can save her from the brutal, dangerous web of court politics. After all, be careful what you wish for. This is one of my favorite books of all time and probably my favorite fantasy book of all time, maybe. Jury's still out on that. But this has some fantastic depictions of power dynamics between the characters that we get to meet, the characters that are journeying, the characters in the court. There is a whole lot of mythology and backstory that is also baked into this narrative that is fantastic to learn about. And on top of that, our two sort of main characters, Nari and Dara, who is the djinn warrior that she ends up summoning to her side. We have so much snark and sass and sarcasm. It's like a Slytherin banter kind of dream. I absolutely adore this book, from the characters to the narrative to the plot to the setting to the mythology. So if you haven't checked out The City of Brass, I really hope you'll give it a go, because if you are a fellow Slytherin, I am sure that you will love it. And while those are some books that I'm sure my fellow Slytherins will enjoy, you don't just have to take my word for it. I have some of my official housemates standing by, ready to give you recommendations of their very own. So let's take a little tour into the Slytherin common room and see what they have to say.
Hi everyone, my name is Leah from the channel Dawns of Autumn, and I'm a Slytherin. For my house, I want to recommend The Abyss Surrounds Us by Emily Skrutsky. This is the first book in a duology, and it is a YA fantasy about a girl who raises monsters to protect cruise ships and such from pirates. But then her and her sea monster actually get kidnapped by pirates, and throughout the novel and throughout being with this pirate crew, she kind of learns to question all of the morals that she has learned throughout her life. So as you can probably tell from that synopsis, this is very much a anti-hero kind of story, and that for me is very much Slytherin. I also think that pirate crews very much represent this fraternity aspect that, you know, is a Slytherin trait. In general, this novel is full of morally great characters and of cunning and ambitious characters. And I also think that the romance in this novel is very Slytherin, because there is a power imbalance between the two characters, and they both have feelings for each other and they know it, but they are both also very clear on the fact fact that they do not want to get involved with each other unless they're on the same level. And I think it's very Slytherin to like have all of these feelings, but you don't really want to act on them because you know it would be wrong and this just cannot happen. So yeah, if you're a Slytherin or if you like Slytherin stories or Slytherin characters, I think this is the absolute perfect book for you. It features a lot of Slytherin characters, it just features a lot of themes that I think make a Slytherin story, and I really hope you enjoy and agree if you pick this up.
Hi everyone! My name is Emma from the channel Emma Novella, and I'm a very proud Slytherin if my attire didn't give it away. The book that I want to recommend to you guys is The Bunker Diary by Kevin Brooks. I was told to avoid this book at all costs because it was horrible, so naturally I bought it. And oh my days, this book was incredible. I don't want to tell you like very much at all because I think it's best to go into it blind, but it is essentially a diary someone has written whilst in a bunker. They've been kidnapped and put in this bunker, and it's just all about what goes on there. But what I think really makes this a Slytherin book is the ending. I'm saying nothing, but it appealed to my cold, dead, black, well, green Slytherin heart, and I think the Dark Lord would love this. So yeah. It is absolutely incredible. I think Slytherins will just really enjoy it because it is very dark, but like not overtly so. It's not like a horror. I don't really know how well I'm describing it because, as I say, I don't want to give it away. So please pick this up. You will love it.
Hi guys, my name is Maddie. I am from the channel The Book Pusher, and I want to do a big shout out thank you to Spencer for having me included in this recommendations Hogwarts house video. I am so excited to do this. I happen to be repping my Slytherin gear. This also smells kind of like smoke because I was just camping. If you haven't checked out my channel before, the fastest way to describe it is I'm not your mama's book reviewer. I can be a little sassy, I can be a little harsh, I can be a little blunt, but if you like fantasy or sci-fi or pretty much anything in those genres, you will happen to like my channel. So without further ado, let's get into my recommendation. I happen to be making this clip on The Wire, and I feel really bad because I definitely feel like I've managed to see myself become the villain that I never wanted to be, that being the person in the group project that doesn't get their shit together on time. But that is an interesting segue into the book that I am recommending, which is The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. This happens to be a sort of anti-hero story, and it is a really intense, really fascinating look at a fantastical world based on the events of the Sino-Japanese War. Brutal, brutal story about what happens to young people when they have to go to war, even if they've been prepping for it their entire lives. Biggest reason that I recommend this book to Slytherins is because the main character, Ren, is totally a Slytherin. She happens to be extremely ambitious, extremely dedicated, and very one-track minded to get to her goal. I definitely think that all Slytherins can really relate to her and her story, and I highly recommend this book specifically because of that. I do think that if you have not heard of the trigger warnings though, please look them up before reading them. This book can be extremely intense, but I do think that people who identify as Slytherin will love it. Alright guys, that was my recommendation for my Slytherin housemates. Thank you once again so much to Spencer. I'm gonna go. Bye!
Hi, my name is Emma. I am from the channel Emma Books, and for my fellow Slytherins, I will be recommending Nice Try, Jane Sinner by Leanne Olke. Nice Try, Jane Sinner is the story of a girl named Jane who has recently been expelled from high school but enrolls in a local community college in order to get back some credits. Soon after starting, she moves out of her childhood home and into a house on campus where they are filming a student-run reality show called House of Orange, which is very similar to Big Brother. This book is hysterical. Jane's voice is so powerful and funny, but within all of the humor, I feel like there's also a lot of different issues that many teens and young adults can relate to. As Jane herself is a Slytherin, I feel it is the perfect recommendation for people who are looking for those ambitious, cunning reads. There is so much hilarity and growth and mischief in this story. I feel it's really underrated and I would love for more people to pick it up.
Hi everyone, I'm Emily from Em Likes Books, and I am a very proud Slytherin. I'm super stoked to be a Slytherin representative for this series of videos that Spencer is doing. I think naturally Slytherins get a really bad rep, and I feel like people are often shocked when I tell them I'm a Slytherin. But for me, it's not about the evil or darkness that's within that house. I think there's so much more to Slytherins, you know, their ambition and their willingness to do whatever it takes. There is an underlying darkness with a lot of these characters, but I am trying to be optimistic, and I just can't believe that there are enough evil people in the world to have filled up centuries and centuries of Slytherins, so they can't all be bad. I don't think. For me, I think that my Slytherin qualities really play out in my sarcastic humor, and I often say that my love language is expressed by like making fun of people, and I sometimes have mean and dark humor, and obviously I don't think I'm an evil person. I think I'm pretty friendly, but that's how some of my Slytherin tendencies come out. I have coworkers who sometimes I'll, you know, make a sarcastic comment or, you know, poke fun at someone, and their first response is to be like, oh, you're such a Slytherin, and I take that as a compliment. But today, the book that I have to recommend to you is actually the first in a series, and that is The Cuckoo's Calling by Robert Galbraith. This is a series following our main character, Cormoran Strike, who is a private investigator, detective, retired military man who is not one to just play by the rules and listen to authority figures in order to figure out the mystery and solve the case. He will do whatever it takes, and I think that is a super Slytherin quality that he holds. He's not aiming to get that glory and greatness in the same way that a lot of our Slytherin characters in the Harry Potter books are, but I think he wants to prove himself that he can do it on his own. He's not going to let, you know, his past or his family or anyone else define his future and where he goes. This is also a very dark and creepy series. There's a lot of grittiness to it, and if I'm being honest, I think J.K. Rowling really leans into her Slytherin tendencies in writing these books. I think this series really goes above and beyond what we saw from J.K. Rowling and Harry Potter. Not to say this is better, it's totally different, but it is, I think, definitely a series to check out. I think it's worth your time. While I don't know if Strike is a straight up Slytherin, I think he probably aligns with some Slytherin qualities, and I think this is the perfect book if you want sort of a dark mystery that fulfills those Slytherin vibes you're looking for.
Ah, yes, fantastic work, my housemates. I must say, 20 points to Slytherin. I guess that means we win the house cup. Thank you so much to all of my Slytherin housemates who helped to make this collaboration possible, and be sure to check the description down below to stop by their channels and give them some Slytherin love. Alright you guys, that's gonna do it for this video. If you think I did a good job, you can do me a huge solid by hitting the thumbs up button and subscribing to my channel. I make new videos literally all the time, and I would love for you to become a part of my bookish family. In the comments below, be sure to let me know what books you think Slytherins will enjoy. I am excited to see which book you think our ambitious friends will love to devour. That being said, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this video up, which means please remember, wherever you go and whatever you do, always practice good, comment Spence. I hope to see you next time.